add quite a bit of spice to any car collection. Do go on this. This looks amazing. Hello, this is BJ from Hearns Hobbies, and today I'm going to be looking at this Revell kit. This is the Mitsubishi Eclipse 1995 version of Brian's car from the Fast and Furious. So we've got Dom here. Dom's in everything because that's what he does. He's the face of Fast and Furious. I don't even know what they're up to. It must be up to part 55 now. But this was in the original film, and these were quite popular in their day. It's a very street type of car. So the Eclipses were made by Mitsubishi in the States. I think they were based on Chrysler type engineering. I'm not too sure about that, but it has a very sort of, I guess you call it, standard rice burner type compact sports car look. So I'm not going to get into how this particular car was used in the movie, but it does have that very specific look about it. It's a very customized street racer. Huge rear wing. So let's have a closer look at the box and we'll have a look at the goodies inside. All right, so there's your box art. So it's a nice representation of the actual kit. That's the kit itself that's been painted up. Very garish color. That's a semi-fluoro lime green. Very easy to spot on the street. That's probably useful because when they're going really fast, you want to see it coming so you can get out of the way. All right, so we've got really bright boxing. It's quite a large box. So this comes out of Revell, Germany. All their boxes are generally quite big, unlike the traditional Revell American boxes, which are short and stout. Okay, but since Revell is all being produced in Germany these days, I think we're going to see a lot more of this sort of flat boxing. Okay, so we've got the back section here, which gives you a rundown of some of the more detailed features of it. You can see under chassis detail, your suspension, interior detail, big rear wing, and all the engine detail as well. Got a little guide of all the colors here. This is very handy, particularly when you're in the shop and you want to quickly get all the colors that you want without the need of opening up the kit and squirreling through the instruction manual. And there's a little guide on the types of things you need too, so your glue, your paint brushes, and your paint. Alrighty, so let's open it up. Oh, actually, I should go through. So Revell kits generally have a level basis on them. Now, a lot of different brands do have a level, just so you get an idea of whether or not it's going to be a very simple snap-together kit or a very complicated kit with lots and lots of parts. So this one is a level 3, so it's sort of mid-intermediate type of build. Now, bear in mind that a lot of people do get confused with these levels too, because they start looking at different manufacturers with their own level systems. So when you look at the levels on a Revell kit, this basically is only representational of their particular kits. It doesn't actually compare to others. So it's best for you to get some advice from the shop staff, and they'll be able to guide you how it compares with other brands. All right, now let's see, which side of this will we open? Let's open this one here. All right, so slide out a big bag of parts. There's going to be a manual and such in here as well. All right, so we've got the manual, we've got a warning sheet, pop that aside. Okay, so we've got a bag, got a bodywork on the side, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of parts, so it is very detailed, and as you expect for a kit that's got engine detail and interior as well. All right, let me pop this over here, and we'll have a look at the individual bits as we go. All right, I'll start off with the bodywork, because we always want to look at the body. Now that's been packaged with multiple things already inside. Okay, so you got your body. It's already in a nice green, so it saves you from doing any priming work. You can paint straight onto that and you should be fine. If you do like primer, then you go with, I reckon a white primer will work very well. Just make sure the green comes out nice and bright. You can see how that's molded in pretty much one piece. Got a separate bonnet, of course. Has some of the details here. So that's part of the radiator that you'll be able to see through the bumper. All right, so sandwiched in there as well, you've got some clear parts. So this is the windscreen parts. I'm not going to open that because you're not going to see very much, but it's all in one piece. Okay, so you've got the windscreen here, and then there's the rear screen, and there's no actual window glass, so they'll be left open. It's probably a good thing, so you can see a lot more of the detail just from the outside. Okay, so from there, there's also a packet of wheels, actually I should say tires, Okay, I do that so it's easier to see. So you see a low profile, very much a street style racing type with the treads on them as well. It's got 5 pieces there, so there'll be a spare held on the car as well. And then you've got the interior with parts of the engine bay, separate component. And then you have the floor pan as a separate component. So it's a little bit different to a Japanese style kit. Japanese style kits would normally have this sort of section attached onto the floor pan, and then the interior would be a tub like this section. You see how this all fits together. And then you've got your interior tub with your floor pan, works together like that. Okay, so let's have a bit of a closer look at the bodywork. Okay, so there's a grille that I showed you earlier. Got that already incorporated in the front molding. You've got location holes there for lights. Windshield wipers are already attached. That can be a godsend because some of the fine windshield wipers are just very difficult to apply and make them look flat. So even though these have probably got a little bit less detail because they're molded all the way in a way these can look more realistic because they're going to sit flatter on the windscreen. Okay, you got your location there for your side mirror. See the panel line detail there, and then the shapes in the lower apron there, with the air intake. Door handle's already been molded in. Then we go around, you've got the gas tank lid. Smooth sections there. You'll have the rear bumper that will attach. Then all the way to the other side. So the roof section there, you've got the panel line for the rear hatch, and then also the rain gutters across the top of the roof. There we go. Okay, so I guess that's the most important thing that we look at on a car model. I guess it's a bit like on a figure model where you want to make sure that the face is really well done. Well, the body is very important on the car model. Okay, let's go back out. All right, so there are all the components there. Let's pop all those back inside. All right, and we'll look at all the other little nitty-gritty bits. All right, so there's quite a lot here. All right, so we have a bag of chromed parts. So we have the rear wing. The rear wing and the wing stays are all molded into one. Got engine components. Okay, you got the head. Looks like intakes. There's a big air filter. And you have your light reflectors there too. So let's quickly zoom that in. Okay, so you can see our light reflectors. So it's quite a shiny chrome. It's not the best chrome I've seen, because you can see it's got some rough sections on it, particularly there along the wing. But it is very reflective. Now to replicate that, if you want to make a really perfect finish, you can always take that off. There's various materials you can use to take that off. There's a Tamiya paint remover, or there's even just a oven cleaner. They'll remove that. It'll also help you to fill in, you see the sink marks just there where the stays are. So you could probably putty those up if you want to do that and then respray it in a chrome. So that's an option you have. Chrome can be a bit tricky if you're a beginner though. So if you're a beginner, I'll suggest you just use a chrome that's applied. But if you want a really nice finish, then yeah, there's plenty of good chromes in paint available. There you can see the air filter. That's like one of those huge K&N type air filters onto the intake. And then there's the rest of the bits there. Okay, so they're the chromey bits. Okay, from there we're going to get onto the wheels. Okay, so the wheels are already chromed as well. The chrome is quite a bit smoother on this particular finish. I'm not too sure why they give you, actually they're different design wheels. I see now, a different number of spokes. So you've got an option there to see which ones you want to put on. Right, so there's the multi-spoke. Then there's a star type pattern ones. So you can see the chrome is a better finish on this one, but then again, if you'd like to do it again, it's quite easy to remove and repaint them. Because in some way that does look a little bit heavy. So sometimes a thick chrome application takes away from the scale look. But if you're a beginner, these will be absolutely fine. Okay, let's move on to a little piece here. All right, so we've got the exhaust system, you've got the transmission. Actually, that's a diff with your tail shaft. You've got radiator, some suspension struts, steering rod. You've got the inside of the cockpit. Okay, so there's the center column, which covers the transmission tunnel. And then you've got the belt system here, which go on the end of the engine as well. Okay, from there, we have engine components. Okay, so you've got your block in half. So it's a 4-cylinder engine. It's turbocharged. Let's just zoom in on these ones. I didn't zoom in on the other one because I thought, well, there's nothing particularly special about those parts. But I guess with an engine, you want to see all the details. You can see all the casting type reinforcement shapes within the engine case. Got a bit of plumbing there. You got a bit more hosing right over there. Okay. All right. So here we're going to move on to some interior components. So you got your seats, the racing seats. They're in two pieces, so you've got the back sections that'll fit into the rear of the seat to give it some depth. And then you have the interior sections of the door and the rear passenger side. Now you can just see the speaker covers. They're just here. So that's the speaker covers in fabric. Got the opening door latch. You see some of the lines there for the trim. Okay, and there's the seats, the racing seats there. They have a texture in them as well for the various fabrics and the backs. Okay. So a bit more interior. We've got the dashboard components. So it looks like we've got the dashboard here, we've got suspension components, the discs on the end there. So more suspension, so that would be the front end, it's the front wheel drive, that's the rear end. Then this, I'm guessing, is the front of the firewall, I guess. You got your steering wheel, then some sort of rod here, it's probably going to be torsion rod or some kind. Let's have a look at the details on this dashboard. Okay, so you can see the bezels for the instrumentation. I'm sure there'll be decals as well for the instruments. Quite nicely fine detail for the air vents. And then across the top there you can see that air vent detail as well. Okay, you get your steering column here with the stalks. That's the rear suspension with the discs already attached. But the front discs are separate. And then there's a front suspension. Okay, we're going to get into some body components now. So they're molded in green, which is good. Matches up to the car nicely and also allows the top coat to come through the same color. Nothing worse than having body which is molded in various colors. You have no choice but to prime those when you probably were thinking not to. All right, so the bumpers are all very simple. They're all in one piece. Looks like a couple of bumpers here. Got choices of two rear ones. You got the front one with the what do you call that again? Can't remember. And then you've got some sort of wing. So that could be an original wing. I'll check in the instructions, see if there was an original kit of this before they modified it to become Brian's car. Okay, stick that over there. All right, I've got a rear partial shelf and a NOS bottle. A rear partial shelf is quite interesting. Got the big massive speakers in it. And there's your NOS bottle, which is very fast and furious. Wouldn't be fast and furious without a NOS bottle, would it? Okay, so that's quite nicely done. All right, so we're getting close to finishing up on all these bits. So we have the bonnet. Got some more wheels. So these are probably components from the original kit, I'm guessing. Although that's a bit special on the lower apron there. All right, so there's a scoop as well. Let's have a closer look at this. I'm quite impressed with the under bonnet details. All right, so those wheels were all a stud pattern. Here's your scoop. All right, so there's a front apron, which is a bit different with the F1 style fighter look. And there's the top of the bonnet. Okay, see how it's hinged there? So it can be opened and closed after you finish building. And there's that interior detail of the bonnet. That's a nice touch. Okay, from there we've got a section here. I really have no idea what this part is, but you've got another front end there as well. And that looks more standard, I guess, but it's very open. So what do we have? We have we've got 3 different front ends they can choose from. We've got the side mirrors there as well. Okay, and from there, we've got another section of clear. Oops, okay. So what we have here is we've got clear bonnet. And it's super clear, it's been polished so you can actually see through it. So that's a nice touch, because if I only made that clear with all the detail in it, it'll be all obscured. Okay, so with that, you can see all of the engine detail that you spend all your time detailing up. Then you have your rear light cluster there. Super smooth. And then this section has it's got another rear cluster. Okay, so this will probably be the standard light clusters. That'll be the newer style one. It's got all the individual round lights, and this one's a generic cluster, probably the factory one. And then your standard front headlight covers. Okay, so that's all the bits. Now let's have a look at the manual. The manual's quite a large print. Okay, actually I might zoom that out a bit so I can fill it all in. There we go. So again, we've got a different angle of the car. This is the actual kit. Looks really nice there. We've got some pictorial drawings here. Probably a little bit more detailed than IKEA, but a similar sort of thing. We have the decals. Okay, so the decals have been put inside the manual. Let's have a closer look at these, because you'll see that where they have been, let's see if I can focus that. So it's probably been quite humid when this has been shipped or where it's been stored. You can see that this is actually parts of the manual which has attached itself onto the decals. Now, it's a bit along here, and it's quite a lot along here. Now it's not a real worry, because this is just the fluff from the paper which is attached to the decal itself. It's probably not something you would want to deal with, but I'm assuming that this is going to be quite a common thing. So you can use a damp cloth just to lightly wet these, and then you'll be able to wipe those off. Alternatively, you can cut out the decal, pop them in the water, and the fluff will come off by itself. And the issue with that is it's going to be mixing up with your water, and it might actually get underneath your decal. So has it actually damaged the decals or ripped them? If that occurs, then yeah, you need to get replacement decals or touch them up. But with these, you can see that that stuff there. This will most likely wipe off because the decal surface has become tacky with humidity and just picked up on the manual. So that's what happens when decals don't have the protective wax paper on them. Okay, so that goes back into the manual. Oh, I should say that it's got some nice carbon fiber decal for the bonnet there. It's got a nice texture to it. All right, so we'll go back to, what have we got here? We've got a legend of how to read the symbols. And you'll see all the different languages here. So they pretty much cover all the major languages in Europe. So hence why the manuals are so big, and hence why the color chart is so big. So we've got the color chart here. The numbers refer to the Revell colors, but it's quite easy to find alternatives if Revell color is not available or it's not your preferred paint. And this is a point where it tells you how to mix or how to read mixing. So 95% to 5% of a color to get the right look. All right, we have the legend of the parts. So you understand where all the parts are, and you should really check this to make sure all the parts are included. Generally, when you start and then you're missing a part, it's hard to tell whether or not you accidentally lost it yourself or not. Okay, and we'll start into the construction. So we'll start with the engine. So you've got all the components of the engine coming together. Then we start doing the seats. The Sparco seats, a lot of decals there. They've got the seatbelt decals as well, add a bit of touch. We've got the start working on the interior tub. So we've got the dashboard, you've got the NOS bottle going into place, and then we've got the rear speakers. So you've got the two big subwoofers. You have to have subwoofers when you're racing on the street. There's painting guides as well as you go. So that's part of this letter system. And then the decal number system as well. So it shows you where you do that as you do it. Seats are mounted inside. Start putting on the side door panels. You've got the firewall, the brake, master cylinder, or the bottle there. We've got that'll be the front suspension going together, mounted onto the floor pan, and then the engine fitment with the front radiator, fans going into place, and then you've got the marrying up together of the internal tub with the floor pan. This is all the finer plumbing work that's attaching to the engine. You've got the air intake here, and then all these cooling and intake manifolds. All right, and then we start on the bodywork. So bodywork here is the paint code, and then we've got the glass going inside with the rear vision mirror. Dashboard construction with the decals going into place. So your dashboard is mounted inside the body. And then fitting of the bonnet. You've got the sub-assembly of the interior and the floor pan. That is clipped into the bodywork and then fixed in with a screw. So this is a little bit different to, I guess, the Tamiya standard, which is flexing of the body and then clipping into place. This is actually a bit more permanent, but if you do need to access anything, it's just a removal of one screw. There's a strut brace, goes across the front strut mounts. Fitting in some of the finer details now, so we've got the front lights. You've got the bumper going into place on the front. Front light covers. Rear light covers. Rear bumper. Reverse lights. There's a lot to it. And now we get into the rear suspension. So you got your rear struts, big drive shaft, exhaust system. Actually, I thought this was a front-wheel drive car. It's actually a rear-wheel drive car there. Okay, we've got some more plumbing going into place. The big rear wing. You've got the scoop going onto the top of the body. And it's interesting that they show you towards the end. That's something that I would probably prefer to have done earlier and then painted the whole lot at the same time. You've got the side mirrors going into place. Your choice of wheels. And then there's middle axles that attach the wheels onto the chassis itself. And then pay attention to the direction of the tyre because they're directional. And then we've got the main decal instructions. So big massive decals. Get your big carbon fibre one across the bonnet. And that's it. So quite a thorough manual for a 24th or 25th scale car. This one's actually 25th. Okay, so that's it. That is my open box review of Brian's 1995 Mitsubishi Eclipse. So this is a second generation Eclipse, very much a little Japanese sports car, and it's from the Fast and Furious franchise. Now this was in the first movie. It's actually quite an interesting looking car, very bright bodywork. It will add quite a bit of spice to any car collection because most cars have got fairly basic paintwork, but the Duco on this just looks amazing, including all the decals there for doing all the graphics. So there you go, quite a nice kit. Thank you for watching. Don't know if I want to open one of these in. It's just really messy. Stuff all over the place. So let's